Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our second July monthly training on the asset management feature. This training is going to walk through all the inventory related features within SalamanderLive for asset management subscribers, and this does include the new inventory module. So here's a quick look at our agenda. We are going to cover access to the asset management and inventory app. We're going to talk about the differences between the two. We did make some changes to the security user profile within the products. So I want to talk about those changes. We're going to look at how to add and edit inventory, take a look at alert notifications, printing inventory tags, and then take a look at the inventory module and talk about the inventory reports. So here is SalamanderLive. Once you log in, we're going to go into the account for security users. I want to talk a little bit about permissions and access. So we made some changes here on our last two releases. And so I want to talk about this. I'm going to actually go into a existing security user and take a look at the products. So if you're subscribed to asset management, you're going to see that product listed by itself. There's an invoice for that. And it used to be called inventory. We switched that naming around and we now call it asset management. Now, asset management, how this is different than what you see down here, inventory/app, is that the asset management feature here gives you access to the inventory related features within the equipment database. And that also includes alerts and all the inventory reports. So that's what this feature, this product right here gives you access to. The inventory/app is related to the inventory module within SalamanderLive as well as the inventory app, because the inventory module simply is the web version of the inventory app, where you're able to go in and issue inventory, return inventory, and as well as consume. So consume is a new feature that's not available in today's inventory app. That can only be done through SalamanderLive. So basically that feature just closes out that inventory cycle. So we'll talk about that when we get to the inventory section. Okay, so those are the two changes that we made here. So yes, in order to get access to the inventory module, you must be assigned this inventory/app. So that this does take from your inventory app licenses. So if you've purchased a standard package with the asset management that comes with 2 inventory apps, that means 2 users can get access to the app and or the inventory module within SalamanderLive. Now for roles, the roles are all the same. When it comes to administrator, obviously that gives you access to everything, all products and features that you're assigned to. Now, if you're looking at the inventory/app, you'll see that we changed that as well. So if you have a user that is just going to, their job is to issue, return, and mark item as consumed, this is the role that you want to assign them to. This gives them access to the inventory module within SalamanderLive as well as the app. However, because they're going to need access to the inventory module, if they're going to be doing issuance here, they also need access to the products or the product SalamanderLive. So that's very important. So if they're going to be accessing the inventory module within SalamanderLive, they'll need SalamanderLive and the inventory/app. And then the role, they'll just need a role that allows them to manage both if they're looking at the equipment and inventory as well as the app. So administrator does that. You have equipment management, which allows them for managing all inventory. And then this one right here allows them access to the inventory module and the inventory app itself. Okay. So just some changes there. Want to make sure that there's no confusion when it comes to all these different terms and verbiage. I want to make sure that that's nice and clear with the updates that we did. All right, moving forward, we're going to go into the equipment database. So last month, if you were here with me, we talked about how to create a equipment record which was non asset related or inventory related. So this month, we're actually just going to continue on that training and really look at what are the differences between a standard account and a asset management account. Because there's some additional features that you'll get access to as well as some reports. So when creating a record, again, it's just the same as if you're creating a personnel record. You have a manual option, you got an import option. Let's take a look at the manual option here. So same information in this case that you're entering in here. However, the difference is when you're creating your inventory records is to know what you're entering in. Are they fixed assets or are they consumables? The reason why this is extremely important is that once you save that record, whether it's a fixed asset or consumable, you cannot change it. So if you put items in as fixed assets, but they're supposed to be in there as consumables with quantity on hand, the only way to fix that is you must delete that record and then recreate a record with the correct type. Okay, so that's extremely important to kind of walk through that process, knowing what you're entering into the system before doing so you're not wasting any time. So here at the top, ID number, organization name, and name. So that's all that's required. So as you start typing, select the organization. So we made this change a couple months ago with now needing to type the organization name in there and then selecting the organization from the drop-down. From here, the difference is consumable. So I'm going to enter in an item. I'm just going to type in here radio so that we can go to the consumable tab so you can see this. So for non-consumable records, when you just create the record itself, if you go to the consumable tab, it'll say for consumable items only. If you mark the checkbox for consumable, it opens up that consumable tab. Again, this is for asset management subscribers only. It opens us up and now you're able to enter in the quantity that you have on hand, max in stock, reorder quantity. The reorder quantity, think of this as the reorder threshold. So how low should your quantity on hand go before you need to reorder? So this reorder quantity is actually a unique field because the system takes a look at this reorder quantity as well as your quantity on hand. If your reorder quantity, or sorry, if your quantity on hand goes below your reorder quantity, the system will send you a notification or inventory alert letting you know that you are low in stock and you need to reorder. So in order to receive those email notifications, you do have to subscribe to it, which I'll talk about how you do that in a little bit here. So that's why these two fields right here, they're dependent on one another, and the system will do an automatic send. Quantity and unit and how it's sold. So if you fill out all of the fields under the consumable tab, there is a report. It's called a reorder report, and it does all the math and calculations for you. So you do also have to enter in the cost information. And what that report does is it lets you know how much you need to reorder in order to meet your max in stock. And it'll use, your quantity unit and how it's sold as to tell you how many units you need to purchase. So that's all available within that reorder report, which I'll show you where that's located. And it does all the math for you. It even tells you how much it's going to cost for all your items that are below quantity. The rest of the fields in this case are all the same. So more info. If this was a vehicle, you can enter in vehicle information, purchasing information. You can put that in here. Obviously, for consumables, you're more than likely not going to have cost code and rates in here. Location contact, this is required. So whether or not it's an inventory record, if you mark that piece of equipment or that item as deployable, it's gonna require you to enter a location and contact. Okay, so that's very important to note. Again, there's two different types of deployable. We talked about this last month, but just as a reminder of what this is, deployable basically marks this piece of equipment as deployable and it places it into a different category or different list called deployable equipment. That deployable equipment list is viewable by anybody who has access to view equipment. So they can't edit. So it's a read-only list. So they can be able to go in there and see what resources or what equipment you have available and that's deployable. It'll actually show its current status. So if it's assigned or it's out of service or it's available, they'll be able to see that. And so that's deployable account. So if you want to share it for the entire account. Now, if you want to mark it as organization, in this case, deployable organization locks it down for users that only have access to this organization. So if you as a user does not have access to this organization, you're not going to see that within your deployable equipment list. Last but not least is custom fields. Again, this now is a field that's opened. This is only available for those accounts and organizations that have subscribed to asset management. So your account administrator has the ability to go in here under the account settings and set up custom fields. Now, here's the catch on here is that for custom fields, for an organization to be able to see custom fields, they must be subscribed to asset management. But not only that, because custom fields are controlled at the account level, the account organization, so the organization at the very top also has to have access or has subscribed to asset management since they control this. They can set up to 10, and those 10 equipment fields that are custom will be available for everybody within the account who has asset management. So they can go in here, they can edit that. Again, you are restricted to 10, so you can't do anything more than that. So kind of have to be picky when you're creating these custom fields. It has to make sense for all the organizations within your account that have asset management. So I just put some examples in here, location. These are fields we currently don't have right now. So the name of location, cache number, if you want to put a tub number, shelf number, rack number, whatever it is that you want to enter in here, you have that capability to do so because we don't have those fields in here. We have a location, which is where that piece of equipment physically lives, but maybe you want to put like it's outdoors, indoors, it's within a trailer. So you have that option to kind of label these fields as you like, and then you can mark them as required or show. Just know that if you mark that as required, that field's going to be a required field for every single record that you create and or edit. Once you update that record, it's going to take you into the profile. So you'll see in the profile here. So this piece of equipment was marked as consumable. So there's multiple of these cots. And so instead of creating multiple ID numbers and then identifying and serializing each cot, what they've done is they've created one ID and then they marked it as consumable. And in this case, entering in the quantity on hand. So in this case, there's this many that are on hand for cots. Okay. So you'll see this information. If you have a record that's marked as consumable, know that you cannot change the status of this. The status available is dependent upon the quantity on hand. So once a quantity on hand goes to 0, that's when this will say out of stock. So important to note. Now within this, you do have, just like any other standard equipment record, is that you have the ability to upload files. So you can upload invoices, POs, whatever it is that you want for this piece of equipment. If there's warranty information. The third tab is alerts. So this is specifically for asset management subscribers. So an alert is simply a notification that you can set up on a piece of equipment or a equipment record. Okay, so these are alerts. They can be for anything, and I'll just populate one. So how to create an alert is clicking on the plus button, and there's all these alert types that you can categorize it by. So if you need to dispose, you need to put a disposal date, like a reminder of when this item needs to be disposed by, or maybe there's an expiration date for this and you want to mark an activity for this saying that, hey, this expires at this time. And so you can do multiple alerts in this case. So expires on this date. And then also because it expires, it also needs to be disposed of by this date. So you have all these different options: inspection, repair, maintenance, training. And if it doesn't fall under any of these, you do have the option of other. From here, you have an alert date. So this is the date in which this alert should expire. So it triggers that notification. When I say triggering a notification, what I mean by that is that that's a date in which this alert expires. And if you subscribe to receive the alert notifications through email, you will get an email that says that this item is expired. So you can choose your date. You can click the calendar and select your date, or you can type it in. Frequency, so you do have the option putting in the frequency and duration. So this is for reoccurrences. So if this was, let's say if this was inspection and you do a quarterly inspection, you can put here every 3 months, every 4 months. Again, you have your option in this case. So what's going to happen is that every third month, you're going to get another notification. So it's a reoccurrence that's going to pop up and let you know that you need to do an inspection. And your alert message here, you could put a message in here on what needs to get done. Like, what is this inspection all about? You could put that in here. Okay. And then any notes about this as well. So your alert message in this case is limited to characters. And then if you need to put more, you can put under the notes section. So this could be more detailed on what needs to happen. You do have 512 characters max for this. Once you're done, just simply click save and it creates that alert within that record. So it's in green here. If you need to edit, you'll see there's an edit button right next to that you can edit the notes, the message, or you can delete it. Once an alert is created, you have the ability to complete it. So there's a couple ways you can complete this. One is directly within the alerts tab and by clicking on the alert. So don't click on the actual edit button. If you just click on the alert itself, it opens up a complete alert pop-up. So this here, you can put in when did you complete this inspection. So this is an inspection, the notes in here, or the messages in here, and the notes. When was this completed? So if you completed early, you can mark it as, hey, I completed this inspection today. And then you can put in notes on what you completed and what you did. If there's things that still need to get done, you can put notes in there and then you can go back in and create another alert. So another activity for what needs to be completed. So these completed alerts are available within a report. There's a section for alert reports, and you can pull up those that are in progress, those that have expired, and those have been completed. The completed one will include the notes. The other way that you complete these alerts is through the alerts page. So within the alerts page, you're going to see this is going to pull up all alerts. So I'm going to clear that filter real quick. So all your alerts are available here. You'll have your data table of your different columns. So in this case, this is actually replaces the alert tile, so alert list tile that we had in version 2. We created this as a page because it just gives you so much more features and options. So you can add filters, you can sort, you can search. And so that's the reason why we made this into a page versus a tile. So for example, I want to look at all my pending alerts. I've got a bunch of them. So you don't want yours to look like mine. So I leave this just as is that if you don't manage your alerts, it can get out of hand real quickly. So I've got 450 that are expired within the last 30 days. But if I looked at my entire account, I mean, if you look at my account, I've got over 18,000 alerts that's created here. That's probably in the high 10,000s that's expired. Okay. So let's look at our pending. So you'll see here expired and completed. They'll be in black. And then you'll see that if you go into alert status, you can search by your pending. So if I just want to look at my pending, I can add a filter and apply, and I can look at my pending. So your pending are all in orange. So you see that? They're in orange. Now, if you notice that the item name is in blue, it doesn't matter if it's completed, expired, or pending status. The item name will always be in blue. The reason for that is that this, if you click on the item name, it will take you into the actual record. So that's what it does. It takes you into the record, and then you're able to look at all the alerts that's available for it. Okay, so this one probably has a ton of alerts, which it does. A lot of expireds. See that? Lots of, you see that if you don't manage this, it can get really crazy. And because these were 1 days, I use this account for my trainings, and so I'm probably put in here for 1 day. So I stopped those. So the one thing about reoccurrences is that if you, so in this case, it's a 1 day. You see how it switched from 1 day and it went to a month. Is that if you delete any of these within the reoccurrence, it stops that. It breaks that chain. So you're not going to receive any more daily alert notifications for this. Okay, so if you want the recurrence to occur, you're going to complete it or just leave it as expired. If you delete it, it stops that chain and you're not going to receive the next pending alert for the next reoccurrence. So another thing to note on that. Going back, I can click on my alerts again. So that, again, if you want to complete it, you can click on that item, click the checkbox if you want on multiple. So this allows you to do multiple completions. So if I click on these 3 records, I can do a completion right here. So you can actually do up to 30 on here. So if I selected all these, you'll see my show is 30. There's a complete button. So again, if you do a multi-completion, just know that you can only put 1 date. So 1 date for all of them, as well as the same notes. That's going to happen that's going to be placed on those records within the report. So you got to make sure that the ones that you're looking at have the same notes and same completion date. If not, uncheck it and check the ones that do. Now, anything regarding consumable items that have this message, item has dropped below reorder threshold, you'll see that that's the system generated one. Everything, all these other ones are manual ads by user, but if you see this specific message, this means that the system automatically generated that alert notification. So the alert notifications come out once a day. They come at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, and they'll be sent to you if you are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, you'll just see it pop through on your alerts page. Any questions so far on the alerts page and managing alerts here? Now, if I look at my expireds, so I'm going to look at my expired. These are all expired right here. So expireds in this case, you can see that you can go in here, you can mark them as complete as well, or you can delete them. So it's completely up to you. But just know that even if you mark these, so these ones right here, item has dropped below reorder threshold, I can delete them, I can mark them as completed, but they're going to continue to pop up in my alerts notification. The reason why is because you have a reorder threshold. So if you want to stop receiving these, so let's say that you got the message that you are below reorder threshold. You go in and put an order in, but the order is on back order. It's going to be, 3 weeks until you receive your shipment. What you can do to stop those notifications from coming is to go into the record and edit. Edit that and change your reorder threshold. You see on here, you can change your reorder threshold. This stopped, obviously. That's why I'm not getting those anymore. Those are all expired. We fixed it. But you see your reorder threshold, I can stop this. So if this was 33, I'll continue getting those notifications until this quantity is above 50. So what I can do for the moment is I can delete that and save it, and it'll stop you from receiving the system generated reorder, that you need to reorder. And then once you get the shipment in, you can go in and put your new quantity in and then enter in your reorder quantity again and then save that record. The other place that you can see your alerts is going to be within the calendar. So calendar, this is new. We released this, I want to say a couple months ago. So this is actually going to show 3 pieces of information: all your events, all your plans if you have the plan feature, and all of your alerts. So in this case, you can look at the month, you look at the day, you can look at the week, you can look at your list. So events are green, plans are black, and then alerts are orange. So here's all your alert notifications. These are the ones that are expired or in pending. So you can go in here, you can click on it, and it'll take you into the record, into the alerts page as well. So it's just a couple different ways you can view. So if you don't want to go in here and look at what you have expiring soon, you can go into the calendar and look at that. So just a different view. So how do you subscribe to alert notifications? So this is a user-based subscription. So you as a user must subscribe yourself. You go to your profile at the top right, click on that, click on profile. Within your profile, you're going to see this where it says active subscriptions. You're going to click on where it says edit subscription, click edit, and then you have your option right here: my primary organization only or all alerts. Your primary organization is the organization in which you are assigned to. So in this case, my organization name right here. And or you can do all alerts. So this is going to be all of the organizations that you have access to. So if you look at here, I have plus children. So in this case, for all these for this role right here, it's going to be for all of these organizations right here, the entire account, because I'm an account administrator for this. Okay, so you have your 2 options. So once you subscribe, you'll receive the email if you have any that are expiring or expired. And the email will come from SalamanderLive notifications. So it comes from SalamanderLive notifications. Make sure this is on your safe sender list, or you're not going to receive them. You might have to check your spam, junk, or quarantine email box. And the subject line is going to say alert notifications. And then you're going to see in here that's just going to have the alert date, the organization, the items with, the item name, the alert type, and then any description and notes. Now, there's no activity or action you can do on this email. All it is telling you, hey, you got a bunch of items that need a reorder or need maintenance. You need to log into SalamanderLive and manage these notifications, or do some activity and change and edit those records. So that is how you subscribe. If you don't want to receive them anymore, you can just go back into the details tab and unsubscribe if you don't want to receive those. Again, those only come out once a day. So for example, if I'm using the inventory app or the inventory module and I am issuing out a bunch of consumables, and at that moment, my consumable stock goes below the reorder quantity, you're not going to immediately get that notification. That notification, it does not get sent out until tomorrow at 3 a.m. Eastern. So that's how that works. Any questions on that? All right, so let's take a look at the inventory module. So this is a new feature that is coming out, or actually, I apologize. We got to look at printing. I'm going ahead of myself here. Let's take a look at printing here. Printing inventory tags is the same process as printing personnel ID tags. Same process. So you can filter out your data, what you're looking at printing. If you're printing out equipment labels, the equipment labels themselves are 2 by 1, so 2 inches long, 1 inch tall, and they are on a specific type of label that is more chemical resistant, fade resistant. And so you can print those off with a mobile printer. We do sell those. And you can print those off, and then you can slap that label on that piece of equipment. Okay, which then allows you to now scan that in either for tracking through the Track app and or tracking during issuances within the inventory app. So how you print that off, same process. You can go in there, you can add filters, what you're looking at printing. So in this case, I want to print a bunch of consumable barcodes. I want to place this into a 3-ring binder. So in this case, I can go in here and mark all my items. I want all consumable true, apply. Okay. Once I do this, I can go in here and I can add in remove the last updated, and I can put in here for A to Z if I want to for a sort. And then I can go in there and print. So I've got 183 that I can print on here. You can sort and print these in any way that you see fit. So for this batch job, I'm going to do 183. They're all just going to be in alphabetical order. Now, if you want to be fancy and you want to be more organized, you can do it by category if you wanted to. So you can have a category, so medical supplies, PPE, and so on and so forth. You can add those different columns. So the columns in this case, these are what I have for columns. I do have the category in here. If you want to add a column or update a column, it's clicking that columns button. You'll see in there, there are my visible columns and here are my hidden columns. So this again is based off user. So you can go in there, just click on the plus to add it, click the X, remove it. So in this case, I can add the category in here. I can move it up, click close. I've got my category in here and I can filter out by category. So then I can do my PPE first. So maybe that's what I want to print first. So here's my item. I got 15 of them. If I'm ready to print, I can click the checkbox next to all those records. So basically the first button is the select all. Click the print button, continue printing. And then you're going to see the print settings window. And again, you must do this on the computer that has the printing software. Okay, so on top of the printing software, you want to make sure that you have your printer, whichever one you're looking at printing. So it's going to be based off the design you select. So there's all these different types of designs that you can print to. So the 8.5 by 11, all you need is a copier printer. So if you have your computer installed with your copier printer, you can print these designs. It just prints on a sheet of paper. And these are just sheeted barcodes. It's 10 barcodes per page. If you want the labels, it's this design right here, the E 2x1 equipment. And if you want a hard card, we've got 2 different options. You got the E card 3 tag. So this is basically a 2x3 card that you can break into 3 smaller key tags. Those work great for like equipment or for vehicles, because what happens is you can just break those off and then you can put that onto the vehicle keychain. And the other ones are the actual hard cards. So this just looks just like your personal ID. If you're wondering where you can see samples of those, I do have a document in here. I'll just populate that document up for you. You go to Learning, go to Documents, click on User Guides, Default Tag Designs User Guide, and this will give you a sample of all the designs that we have available today. If you go to Equipment side, you'll see it listed here. So let me just scroll down. Sorry, can you guys hear me? Sorry about that. My connection from my headphone just stopped there, so I apologize. Let me rewind and go back. I don't know where I lost the connection there. Um, let me go back to the different designs here. So what I was talking about is how to find this document of all the different designs that you can print for inventory. So you can go to the learning, click on documents, and then click on default tag user guide. And then within that, you'll see that there's samples for all the different equipment designs that we have available. So I'll just go back through this again. I apologize on that. We have the hard card design. So you'll see that the image is a lot larger on the equipment one, but it looks very similar to the personnel ID cards. And then you've got the 3-tag design. So with the 3-tag design, this is a specific card. It actually can break into 3 smaller key tags. And then it's also pre-punched hole here as well. So there are 3 holes right here. So this works great for like vehicles or things that you can't put a label on, where you can zip tie it onto that piece of equipment. This does print the same piece of equipment or that inventory item onto all 3 key tags. You can request for a design where it prints one on each. So that's through custom designing. And then we have our standard paper design. So there are 2 designs on here, 5163, 5199. The difference between the 2 is that the 5199 is the one if you're looking at printing and putting into a 3-ring binder. The one that you want to print is the 5199, and you can choose to print with images or without images. So this is the 5163, but the 5199 looks very similar to this, except it's more centered and allows you to 3-hole punch it. Photo roster, and then last but not least, which is the most popular one, is the 2x1. This is the one that prints off on a mobile printer with the labels. So it's 2 inches long, 1 inch tall, and it just has your base information, name of the organization, name of the item, and the QR code. Now, all the QR codes are printed on these designs can be scanned into the track app or the inventory app if you're looking at issuing, returning. So again, for printing, simply select your designs you're looking at printing, click the print button, select your option for printing, so your computer. Okay, make sure you're printing from the computer that has the print control license. Select your printer from the drop down. I always like printing the PDF, but sometimes I do print sheets onto my black and white copy printer. Number of copies and issue and expiration date if you want to put that in here. And then simply click print. As you print, depending on if you put expiration dates in here, you'll see that within the record itself, I'm just going to click on this one right here. You can go into the record and you'll see physical tag, just like on the personnel side. You'll see that it'll tell you when the tag was actually issued or when it was printed and how many times you made a copy of that. Just make sure that you also are paying attention to the estimated QR code utilization. Now, this, you don't have to worry as much as on the people side, because mostly on the people, you're adding a lot of qualifications and encoding that into the QR code, and that takes a ton of space. But usually for equipment, unless you're utilizing resource typing within the qualifications, this is relatively low for percentage. So you don't have to worry too much about that. Now, that is how you print. So pretty simple, easy. It's just trying to figure out how you want to print it and which design you're looking at based off of what media you have available. All right, moving on, we're going to go into the inventory module. So we don't have time to cover the inventory app. I've done a lot of trainings in the past on the inventory app, but this is fairly new. We just released this year for the inventory module, so I really want to take this time to walk through this. Now, with the inventory module, just a reminder, you have to have or be subscribed or assigned to the inventory/app product within your security user profile in order to be able to access this. If you don't have access, you try to click it, it's going to say access denied. So very important to know. Another thing to note on here is that you see the word beta in here. What that means is that this is a pre-release phase, which means that yes, you're probably going to run into some bugs, some things may not be working exact. What we're doing here is trying to collect feedback for this as you start utilizing this, and then send that to us, and we can make those changes or add those additional feature requests before we actually do a full market release. There's some other things that's coming through in this as well too. That's why it's also in beta. So please use this with caution as you're working through this in your live account because it is live data. So if you issue, return, and consume, just know that that is actually happening. You're not in a staging or sandbox. This is all live data working with your live information. Within the inventory module, you'll see that there are 5 tabs at the top: assigned, issue, return, consume, and audit. Of the 5, only 4 are working. Audit is one that we do not have working yet. This is not available as today. This will be released in a future release. I don't have much information on this, so I can't tell you much about it either because I haven't seen it. But on the Assign tab, what you see here, this is all equipment, so all inventory, whether fixed assets or consumables that have been issued out since you started started your asset management subscription, and since you started issuing out equipment and consumables through the inventory app. Okay, so I have a bunch in here. So for my full history, I've got 130 pages of items that have been issued out to people. So 130 people in here that have items issued out to them. These could be from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Okay, so the names will always be listed on here until the items are returned or consumed if it comes to consumables. You'll see in here there's activity date, first name, last name, ID, status, issue count. I added these additional ones like issued count. So you'll see there is a columns button at the top here. You can add whatever information that you want to view within your data table. So I added this issue count. If you want their title, you want their email, you can add that in here as well. You'll notice that some of these individuals their names are in red. It's because they are inactive. Okay, so they're inactive. So if they're inactive, so that means they're not in active status. So if they're retired, resigned, on medical leave, they are inactive and their name will be in red. If you're wondering what their current status is, you can add what I did here is a status column so you can see why they're inactive. And this person is retired. That's why their name is in red. So they've got a bunch of equipment that's issued out to them even though they're retired. So we want to make sure that those are either consumed out, closed out, or they're returned. You'll see here assigned organizations. That's just the number of different organizations that have equipment assigned out per the people that have inventory issued out to them. From here, you can search by name. So this is for the person's name, not the item. It's for the person's name. You can add filters. You can add sorting in here. And then next to each of these is a checkbox. So the checkbox itself is a shortcut. So if you click on it, it's a shortcut to do issuing, returning, and consuming. So if you wanted to issue out items to Scott, he already has items issued out to him, but maybe you want to issue out some additional items, you can click on his name and click the issue button. If he has items that he's ready to return, you can click that checkbox and click return. Or if you want to complete that cycle and consume the consumable items that he has in there, you have that option. We'll take a look at all of these when we go to the different tabs. They're the same thing. The other one in here is the reports button. You're going to see that it's going to have no reports. Right now, all the reports that we have are available on the equipment side, the same reports that we have today. There are a bunch of new reports that's coming. I don't have an ETA on when those are going to be and what they are yet, but there are a bunch of reports that we have through the pipeline that are coming through. So let's go to the issue side. So the issue side, as of today, you can only do this manually. In our next release, I don't have an ETA yet, it's probably next week or in 2 weeks, we're going to have a scanning option. So you'll be able to change your USB scanner into a wedge scanner. There's different barcodes you scan to change it from into a web wedge scanner. I'll have that within like the notes and a guide. And you can start scanning in your actual printed barcodes. So that's coming soon. But as of today, everything is done manually. So on the issues side, you have a fixed assets tab and consumables. Very similar to what you see within the inventory app. So in the inventory app, everything's kind of put together, right? And you have a plus and or you have a hashtag to signify it's a consumable item. In here, you have your two different tabs. You have the option for searching the item by name. It does, it contains. So in this case, if I do radio, do a search, it's going to look at the name of the item with radio in it, whether it's the beginning or part of the name. So it contains. Okay. If I want to add this item, all I need to do is click on it to add it to my cart. Add it to your cart. So you see this icon right here, it signifies that it is a fixed asset. If I want to add some consumables, I can add some consumables on this list. Again, your fixed assets and consumables tab will only show what you have available or that's in stock. Anything that's out of stock, missing, being serviced, or out of stock will not appear in any of these lists. For consumables, if I need to add something, I can just, again, scroll through my list. There's a show at the bottom. Default is 10, but you can change that to 100 if you want to. You can go in here, select what you're looking at. So in this case, I'm going to do some gas. I'm going to click on that. It's going to pop up how many you want to issue out. So it depends on how you inventory your consumable, right? So this is a barrel of gas. How many barrels of gas am I issuing out to this person? So in this case, my max is 49. That's what I have in stock. So I can say 2 in this case and apply. So you see that? I do 2, apply. If I change my mind and I'm like, no, it's not 2, it's actually 3, I can just click on it again and enter in my additional quantity. So additional quantity. See how it said 49 before and now it says 47. So I can change that and say I need 3, not 2. I can add that. Now in the case where you need to go down, so instead of 3, you're like, nope, we need just 1, you actually have to remove this from your cart and re-add it. So if I want to go down and decrement that number and just say 1, I need to delete it and then re-add it. And now it's 1. Okay, so that's your issue cart. You can add as many as you need to, and you can verify it as you're adding here. Now the next step is to add the person, which is required, just like the inventory app. So you can search the person's name. So this pulls down the list of people that you have access to. So list person you have access to, you can search by their name in here, or you can scroll through your list. Let's say I do this person. I click save, adds this person to my cart. Next option in here is selecting an event. So this is optional. So just like the inventory app, if you want to link an event or link this issuance to an event, you can select that from this list. So this is going to show all your ones that you have in progress at the moment and does list it in by timestamp, so chronological order. So let's say I'm going to do this one right here. I'm going to click on that, click save. Now add my linking of my event. If I'm ready to complete my issuance, all I do is click issue next. It's going to get to the confirm issue screen where I do have the option of collecting a signature. So you have 2 options here. You can draw on the screen so that person can just use their mouse and sign it, or if you have a touch screen for your laptop, they can just sign their name, and this confirms that they received these items. So you can click on draw screen and they can sign their name. Now the other option in this case is that you do have the SigWeb option. So this is tied to the Topaz signature pad. So this is the only one it works for, is the Topaz signature pad. So if you have that piece of equipment, you can plug it in, have the software installed. Once you have this software installed, you can just click on this option. Like I don't have this installed on mine, so I'm going to get an error code on here because I don't have the software. But if you do have it, you can install the software right from here. You see that? Install here. So you have that option. Install the software, and then once you have installed, it should recognize your equipment, and then you're able to use that signature pad to sign instead. So you have those options. Once you're set and ready, just simply click issue. So again, you have your option, just simply click issue, and you'll see equipment issued. Now it issues out to the person. Now their name, if they are not currently on the assigned list, their name will now be listed there. So that's issuing. And now you have the option to issue out to the next person. All this is also going to be reflected within the inventory app as well. Both are connected. On the return side, so let's say the person's ready to return some items. You have two options to return. You can select the person. So this is the same thing as if you're selecting the person from the assigned list, or you can just go to return and then click on this. It's going to download the list of people that have items issued out to them. So this list does take a little bit longer to pull versus the issue one because it's grabbing all that information. So this list, again, only the people that have equipment or consumables issued out to them will be listed here. So let's say I'm ready to return some items. I'm going to click on Johnson, click Save. It's going to pull up any equipment or consumables that's been issued out to him. So you see here, it's all consumable items that were issued out to him. You'll see there's the quantity. If he had actual fixed assets, they would have the toolbox in there. So in this case, let me just add someone that I know has both. Let me just clear this. So you can't return multiple like how you can within the inventory app. You can only select one person at a time. So it's a little bit different. I'm gonna do Miss Blossom Ack. She's got a bunch of items that have to be returned. Pulling up her list of items. Here you see she's got a fixed asset that's issued out to her. She's got a big list of items. Okay. So think of this when you're issuing out consumables, it goes into that person's cash. So think of it as a holding place. That person was given out all these items. Now, in this case, if the person's not going to utilize all these items and like, no, we got to return some of this stuff, I'm not going to use them. You can return consumables right from the screen as well as fixed assets. So let's say she was given out a bunch of table covers. We're not looking at using 500 table covers. Let's say the event got, it got decreased, and now we only have, a certain number of tables that need table covers. So let's say she only needs 200. So we're going to return 300 in this case. So put in your quantity and put your notes why you're returning 300. So the max right here is what was issued out to her. Once you return this, this goes directly back into your inventory. Oops, I can spell. Click return. It adds it to your return cart, and you'll see right here it says note for what you are the reason why you're returning those items. You can do the exact same thing for your fixed assets if you're returning those items. Okay. So return this item right here. You'll see it's very similar to the inventory app, except we have a notes option. So everything, if you don't select anything down here, it's going to immediately put into the available status once it's returned. If you want to change that status, let's say I want to put it to out of service, I can mark that, and then I can put notes on why I marked it out of service. Okay. And then click return, and it adds it to your cart. So that's how you do this. Once you're done, simply click the return, and now you have a signature option as well. So this again is confirming that they return this item. So this person can sign their name saying these are the items I'm returning. Draw a screen or use SigWeb. Right now, as of today, we don't have a report that shows signature capture. That is something that's coming soon. You can click return, and then you're going to see all items returned. And then you can do the next person. Now, a question we get is what happens, or what's the process if you have equipment that was issued out to someone that's outside of your organization or account? So for example, the select person, this will only pull the people that you have access to per your user permissions. But if you issued out your equipment out to someone that's outside of your agency or your account that you don't have access to pull down their name, this is where you would do a select fixed asset. Okay? So this is just fixed assets in this case, no consumables in this case. So for fixed assets, consumables are going to be on the, it's going to be on, you got to know the person's name in order to do consumables. So for fixed assets, this is going to show all the equipment that's been issued out. You can search for the item name. So I'm going to put here truck. And let's say it's this Chevy truck that was issued out to someone that's outside of our agency. I can click on the item name, click save, and then it's going to show the person that it was issued out to. So there it is, Jake Dunham. And then it'll show his ID number, his organization. Now from here, I have the same process. I can change the status, add notes in this case, and I can return it. It's the same process. So that's the difference between the two. So you can select a specific item to return, or you can look up a person and then return all items issued out to that person, or select the ones that you're looking at returning. And this includes both fixed and consumables. Moving on to the consume side. The consume side, this is what closes out the consumables cycle. So when you issue out consumables, it's just basically saying this person was given out these items. But out of those items, those consumable items that they were given out, what was actually consumed? So this is where you need to close out that cycle by selecting that person's name or selecting that consumable item. So similar on the return side, you got two options in this case. So in this case, select person. So again, it's going to pull down that list of everybody that has consumable items issued out to them. So again, I'm going to pull on Miss Blossom Ack. Click save. It's going to pull down all the items that she has that are consumable items that she was issued out to her. In this case, I need to mark the ones that she actually used up. So let's say she did use the table covers for an event. I can close that out. So it shows that she doesn't have those table covers anymore. So I can close that out. 200 here. Used for event. I can spell. Click apply. It adds it to your consume cart. You can do that as for all the other ones that you need to. Once you're done, click consume next. You have that same confirm consume window where you can capture a signature. Now, if the person that is consuming is different than the person is assigned to, you do have the option of typing in their name and having that person sign for it. So maybe this was assigned to Blossom Act, but her supervisor is the one that actually used it, or maybe one of her coworkers used it. They can sign it and then they can type in their name. And then you can mark and consume. So maybe it was Andrew Grill. And then you can consume. Once it consumes, it removes it from her cache, what was issued out to her. So it should no longer be listed there as part of the consumable items that were issued out to her. Now you do have the option for selecting consumable items. So this is going to pull out everything that you have. So in this case, I'm going to look at, let's do APR cartridges. Click save. So in this case, if you weren't consuming, this just says that there's max of 2 and you're consuming those 2. It's not tied to a person. So it's a difference with this. So you see in here, it's not tied to a person. This is just saying you're consuming 2 of these items. So the best way to do this is by consuming it per person and not by the item itself. So that's the consume side. So the consume side, we don't have any reporting on this yet as of today. It's coming soon. As we get those reports created and available, we will communicate to you, to everybody through the channel or the bulletin that comes out every single month. So that is the inventory module. Again, you have to have access to inventory/app for that product within your security user, as well as have a have a permission that allows you access to this. For all your reports, all the reports are available here. So go to equipment and you'll see the reports here. So this is about 99% of the reports. There's other reports that you can find elsewhere, but for the most part, these are all your inventory related reports. So that reorder report I talked about earlier, if you're looking at what was issued out for fixed inventory, it's this report that pulls out your entire list of everybody that has inventory issued out to them. And then your consumables is right here. I recommend this one. This is a snapshot, but if you want a more detailed report, it's this issue consumable, and this does it by date range. So you do it for today, you want to do it for the month, or you want to do it for the quarter, what has been issued out for consumables. It's not consumed what was consumed, it's what was issued out. So difference. The other one is related on the event side. So if you're looking at inventory that was issued out for a specific event, you can go in here, click the checkbox next to the event, and it's this report called the Inventory History Report. So this report will show you both fixed assets and consumables that were issued out for this event, that was consumed for this event. So it tells you who issued it, current status, and then you'll have quantity over here, cost, etc. So this is total cost for consumables. This is reimbursement for those fixed assets. Okay, again, this report, again, is based off issuing of inventory, not what was checked in through the track app. So checking in through the track app is the equipment reports down here. So I just want to make sure that that is defined because we get questions on that a lot. Any questions on what we covered today? We're about past the finish line right here for 203. Any questions that we covered today? All right, no questions. Well, please come back next month. Next month, we are going to cover the collections. So collections in here. And then the following month, I'll have a schedule out for September and October and November. So we are actually going to cover the scan option in September. So please come back for that training. So that's all new features that will be released at the end of this month to early next month, and we'll cover that within the September training. So thank you all so much for joining in today's training. I appreciate it. Yes, Chad, absolutely. I will save a copy of this recording. I'll post it onto our YouTube channel, and then I'll send everybody the link. I'll send you the link in here. So if you want the direct link, Chad, if you can put your email in the chat, and I'll send that over to you. If anybody else wants that link, they can send their email as well to me. Or you can always just go to our Salamander YouTube channel, and you'll find all of our past recordings available there. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Please enjoy the rest of your summer or rest of your day. Have a great day. Take care now.